focus now on this inquiry. Former Public Investment Corporation boss Dan Matjila will continue his testimony on Ayo Technology Solutions today. Now, he's testifying at the inquiry into alleged impropriety at Africa's largest asset manager. Yesterday, he refuted claims that he pushed for the Ayo Technology deal. Well, Heidi Giokos continuously tracking that story for us. Morning, Heidi. Morning. It seems the hair fairy's got a hold, the same hair fairy's got a hold of both of us this morning.
It's the hairstyle of the day.
It's a hairstyle of the day. Okay, this will be trending in a bit. But let's talk about Matjila and what he's been saying at this inquiry. He's been answering about this investment of over 4 billion rand into Ayo Technology, but he says he actually never forced anybody to sign this deal.
Exactly, and that was one of the biggest allegations that came through from former and current PIC executives, where they've made the allegation that Dan Matjila forced the Ayo Technology Solutions deal, where he came back from his December holiday of 2017 to make sure that that transaction took place. That he didn't follow proper processes. When he started off explaining the Ayo transaction deal, he made it very clear to the Commission of Inquiry that he never forced anybody to ever sign off on this specific transaction. He says he understands there's been allegation after allegation that he was very forceful and he put immense pressure on people, but he says he never did that. And he makes it very clear that even though there was a deadline, a very tight deadline to make sure the transaction takes place because Ayo Technology needed to list on the JSE, he says he made sure that all the checks and balances were put in place. And this is something that we're constantly hearing him say, where he says we always made sure that the checks and balances were there, and this is despite all the allegations. And of course, this is a completely different side of the story that we're hearing, because everybody else has told the Commission that he was forceful and he made sure that that deal was done. He was relentless in making sure that that deal was done.
It's scary in his mind, though. I mean, you know, it's difficult for us to judge, but in his mind, he was the perfect leader.
Yes.
He never did anything wrong. All the checks and balances were in place. Now, he also denies that this has anything to do with any friendship he might have with Iqbal Survey.
Yes, because I think the top two executives that actually dealt very closely with this specific transaction told the Commission of Inquiry at the very beginning that, you know, the only reason why this deal ever happened was because Iqbal Survey and Dan Matjila are very good friends. And when Iqbal Survey testified, that question was posed to him and said, what kind of relationship do you have with Dan Matjila? How do you view him? And Survey said, you know, I see him as a professional, and I see him as a person that the Sikunjalo Group goes to find investments, potential investments, and so forth. But the big question is, how is it that the PIC has invested in about 4 of Sikunjalo Group's companies related to Iqbal Survey, because he is the chairman of Sikunjalo, he's the majority shareholder. But when they asked, the Commission said, how do you view your friendship with him? And he says, the deals didn't happen because of a close friendship per se. He says he wanted to make sure that he was very close to the engagements around these transactions, because he was worried that he would put the PIC at risk and he would be perceived as a reckless CEO if he wasn't close to these specific transactions. So that's his explanation. He says not good friends, but he was very close with engagements, receiving private emails from Iqbal Survey and then deciding whether or not he would send it over to the investment committee. So
well, he does seem to have an answer for everything, doesn't he?
Always. And so, I mean, the question is, are they besties or not? You know?
Yeah, it's a simple question.
Yeah.
Are there photographs of
But he says not per se. So
not per se. Well, tell us more about the accusations then that he actually flouted process when it came to the Ayo deal. I mean, what did he or didn't he?
Yes,
what are we hearing?
What we've been hearing from the beginning is that it was a very rushed deal. It was done very quickly. It was done, you know, normally these transactions take about a year to finalize and complete, 6 months to a year, whereas this transaction happened in a matter of months.
Wow. And for that amount of money,
exactly.
I mean, really,
that is also the big factors, the fact that it's 4.3 billion rand that we're looking at. But Matjila explains to the Commission that they had a very good investment committee team put together for this transaction, and Ayo Technology was cooperating with this. And certain stages could be overlooked because the information was available, the investment committee was working overtime, and he says that he didn't flout any processes. He says the most important stage was the due diligence process, which he says was completed to its full capacity. This is contrary to what we've been hearing. We heard that he didn't even bother doing due diligence. Yep. He just wanted to push the deal, and he came back from his holiday and wanted the deal done, which was done in a matter of
So
months.
he's back today?
He's back
Is he
today
picking
and
up
on
from there?
Monday,
Okay.
and he will continue with the Ayo transaction, and then he will propose certain recommendations to the Commission about how he thinks the PIC can be fixed.
All right, well, off you go. Back there to hear more juicy details and just in Dan Matjila's world, what's happening at the moment. Heidi Giocos, thank you very much.